Good morning, everybody, and it's a pleasure to see you all here, and a special welcome to all those who came from out of town to be here. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you're starting to hand in your resumes and finding jobs here because we have a lot of opportunity here in Lab West. When I got elected to this role about 5 years ago, I think one of the first things I said in the House Assembly was Labrador West is on the cusp of the next mining wave. And here we are today. We're talking about, 1 point something percent increase in GDP to the province just from this region. So you have to look at it then that way. So yes, great. But what along comes with it is need. It's need for healthcare. It's need for education. It's a need for a whole slew of social and economic development. And that's why we're here today, is because we want to talk about healthcare, the healthcare of the people of this province and the people of this region. We also have to talk about the education. We have a need for teachers. We need to have a need for housing. We have to have a need for all the other aspects that go along with mining. And it's great that we have that opportunity here. But when it comes with mining, you also have to look at it comes with wages. It comes with all the great benefits. But that doesn't follow along when it comes to the social aspect of it. You look at our teachers, our healthcare workers and stuff, they don't even make close to the wages and opportunities that come in the mining industry. And there we have a slew when it comes to how everything operates. Someone coming out of university to be a social worker can't afford a $300,000 house here in Labrador West. There is a social divide here when it comes to that kind of things. I can't recruit occupational health and safety officers to live in the region because they can't keep up with the wages that are paid by the mining industry here. They can't afford a $300,000 house. Same with teachers, same with other professionals that we need to help make our society what it is in here. We have a great region, and I don't want to see Labrador West become a fly-in, fly-out camp. That is not what I want to see. I want to see a thriving community that I was raised in, my father and my grandfather before. I'm a third generation here in Labrador West, and I have the fourth generation I'm raising right now in my home. So this is what I want to see for Labrador West, a thriving, beautiful community where everyone comes together to work together. But it takes everybody in this room to make that happen. So that's why I'm asking you, everyone here today, to stop and think, what can we do to find these, to help bridge these gaps? How do we do to make sure that houses are built in Labrador West that are affordable for everybody that wants to come here? How do we make sure that this is a welcoming community for healthcare professionals to come live here, teachers and other aspects of the society that we need? We need everybody. You can go on a government webpage and people looking for work. A majority of the jobs that are on the NL government webpage are for here in Lab West. We used to have economic development officer. The money's just not there for that person to come to this region and start a life when a house costs us $300,000 and there's nothing in town to rent. We have educators. We don't have a guidance counselor at JRS. These are things that we need to bridge these gaps to make it affordable. And everyone in this room here has the opportunity to help work together. I'm here. There's a lot of people here. We want to see this happen. So this is what my goal. When Lydia and Belinda and all them came to me and said, we're going to do this summit, I was on board right away, because the idea of that we are here today to actually have this conversation. And I'm delighted that so many people took the opportunity to be here. It's great to see that, and to come here and stand and talk about ideas and to find ways and solutions. I can blame people. I can stand here and blame people, but I'm not going to. I'm going to say, this is my community. This is your community. Let's work together and let's bridge these gaps. So I welcome you all here. I'm glad that we're here having these conversations. And once, we get through this, we can find these solutions. Labrador West should never be a place that's unaffordable to anybody to live. Labrador West shouldn't be a place where people don't want to come because they can't find somewhere to live. The countless times I've heard stories of saying, I'd love to come up there, but there's nowhere to rent. I don't have, a down payment for, a very expensive home. And that's the disheartening thing. We got no problem to find, people to come up and work in the mining industry because their wages will compensate it. But right now, this is a thing that we have, is a creation of unaffordability. So once again, I thank you all for being here. I thank the organizers. I thank Toby and Lydia for organizing this, and Belinda and Ron and everyone else who was here to help out. But please, when you think about it, think about ways we can all work together, ways we can contribute our resources together and be able to do what we need to do. So thank you for being here. And I hope that we can actually accomplish something, because this is my community. I would live my entire life here. I'm raising my children here, and I will not be doing any fly-in, fly-out. Trust me there. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan. I would like now to have a guest speaker. I'd like to have Minister Andrew Parsons come up from the Department of Industry, Energy and Technology. Please welcome the Minister.
All right. Well, these microphones are certainly in the way. My apologies. Good morning, everybody. Holy jeez. Good morning, everybody. All right, all right. So the first thing I'm going to do, thank you for inviting me. Thank you for letting me be a part of this. It's really exciting to be here, but I'm going to start off with an apology because my team gave me about 25 minutes worth of material. And I got to tell you, I read it last night. It put me to bed, put me to sleep. And so then I started scratching it up and going back and forth at it. And then I realized I've got 10 minutes. So I'm going to apologize. I'm not going to read a speech to you. I'm just going to go through and talk about some of the different things and really not speechify, but try to just talk about some of the different things that are going on from an IET perspective. The first thing I want to say is that, and that's sort of the echo, I guess, what the Premier said yesterday. It's one thing to talk about it, but you have to be on the ground. And that's why I appreciate getting here. Like just being here gives a different appreciation for the area, for the industry, and for the opportunities that are here. So I'm glad to be here. And I've been lucky enough over the last 10 years or so to have been here many times. Again, I've been lucky enough to have colleagues like Lisa and Yvonne who make sure that not only do we hear the issues when we're in the House of Assembly or in Cabinet, but we hear the issues here as well. And they make sure to bring that all the time. Now, I think it's important that we use this opportunity, as the summit intends, to talk about some of the obstacles, obviously, that we face, but more importantly, to also work together to maximize the opportunities that we have here. So one thing I wrote yesterday, and I was listening to the Premier speak, and then I put down a bunch of notes. And one thing I think I got to get across here, I am going to be optimistic because I am an optimist. I am going to talk about the opportunities that we have. Nothing is going to stop me from doing that. And one thing I realized, especially in my travels, is that no doubt, there are challenges, but there are challenges everywhere we go. Everybody is facing challenges, but not everywhere. And I've been lucky enough through this job to go to many places. Not everywhere has the opportunities that we have here. I can tell you that right now. The opportunities that we have here are not felt by everybody. So again, it's another reason to be optimistic about the different things that we can do and accomplish here. Now, I guess the first thing I would start off with, obviously, it's hard not to start off with, is mining. Now, over the last 3 years, I can tell you that mining has paid for jobs for 8,500 people in this province, shipped over 5 billion in minerals to supply Canadian and global shipping supply chains, and attracted over 225 million in exploration investment. Now, I'm not going to talk about the different operations because you're going to hear from all these individuals today. I see Mike here and I see Joe here. You're going to hear from these individuals and they're going to talk about the great things that are going on. But one thing I do want to point out, and again, what's going on here is attracting investment globally. And I think that's one of the challenges that we face in this province, is realizing that we are a global competitor. We're not talking just about Newfoundland and Labrador. We're not just talking about Canada. We are global. The challenges we have are global. The competitors that we have are global. Two things. Just before Christmas, I'm in London. I'm at a mining conference. I'm sitting down with the Saudis. And the first thing they asked me about is Labrador. Now, I thought that was pretty cool. I'm sitting there far away from home, someone who never thought they'd be in the room like that. And the first thing they want to ask me about is Labrador. Just recently, I'm in Asia. I'm sitting down, talking to some of these pretty big companies, and they actually slide our critical minerals plant across the table to me. Again, I think that's impressive. So I think some of the things we have to do is we have to get our minds around the fact that we have to think big, because we are a part of this global economy. We have an opportunity there. One of the things we had to realize and continue to tell these people, though, is what we have here and why it is so attractive to the globe. We have a number of advantages. Number one, you've got governments on every level that are supportive and stable, whether it's federal government, provincial government, municipal governments, Indigenous governments. We have stability here. We have a regulatory regime that people understand and can get behind. We've got an amazing skill set and experience here. We've got supply and service side that's been built up over years that can compete with anybody. We have highly qualified workforce, contractors. We've had so many partners in this together, and we have to continue to tell that story. One thing I will say, and again, it just comes back to the communities. it makes a big difference when you have supportive communities, when you have community buy-in. When it comes to resource development, that makes a huge deal. Again, not something that you find everywhere. We have it right here. The community knows the opportunities that it brings and just wants to be a part of that and supportive of it. Again, I'm not going to step on their speeches. They're going to have a chance to talk about it, but I can't undersell what IOC, Decorah, and Tata are doing here now. When you talk about 74% of our provincial mineral shipments come from these companies, that's a big deal, and I want to thank them. And again, when you just talk about the amount of mining employment that they generate, almost half is right here with these companies. But the other thing I want to point out here is obviously we have operational, but what we have here is aspirational as well. We have people in the pipeline. We have opportunities, whether it's Champion and what they're doing. They've been making some great steps here. Joyce Direct. We have Labrador Iron. We have the Houston project, and this is part you can see now where I'm scratching it and I'm moving forward. I could sit here and talk. If you want, I can talk about all the different. This project will consist of open pit. No, I'm not gonna do that. We have High Tide Resources. We have Red Paramount. What's going on? But one thing I did want to mention, bring up here because it's generating a lot of conversation within government recently, and I think we're going to hear a lot more about it soon. Is Julian Lake. Julian Lake, 30 kilometers away, huge undeveloped deposit. Been a lot of conversation, but a lot of work done on it. And, the experts that I've sort of listened to and had an opportunity to read say is one of the best undeveloped deposits that is out there. I can tell you that, again, when I go on my travels, when I have these meetings, it's drawing a lot of attention, especially now when we talk about high grade, low impurity iron ore. What I can tell you is that we will be moving forward very soon with determining what this interest actually is for the development of Julian Lake. So I hate to use the term stay tuned, but stay tuned because you will hear more on this. We feel the time is right now to move on this, and hopefully we'll see some attention paid to that soon. I'm going to shift now to critical minerals very quickly, but it's not as big a shift as it used to be, and I'll explain that. So just in November, we launched our critical minerals plan during our mineral resource review, and I had no idea the attention would get. Now, I'm lucky enough that I get to stand up and talk about it, but I'm fully in recognition of the people that actually do the work, people like Paul, people like Keith, people like Alex Smith. I'm lucky to have an amazing set of teammates in the mining division. They were the ones that put the hard work into this, and I want to thank them. This plan is getting a lot of attention, which is a good thing. We know that the rise for critical minerals is unlike anything that we've seen. And again, in these travels, whether it's Washington, Asia, UK, it's the first topic of conversation when ministers from Britain come to Toronto, come to PDAC, and the first thing out of their mouth is critical minerals. And then they talk about Labrador, they talk about Newfoundland, they talk about what we have here. And we see it as a huge opportunity for Newfoundland and Labrador, but particularly Labrador West. So we're going to be spending about almost $4.5 million on the implementation of our plan. One of the big parts of that is the importance of high grade, low impurity iron ore. And I'm very proud to say that we are the first jurisdiction ever to make it part of our critical minerals list. We led the way on that. And again, I give the credit to the team that we have there. I was very happy once we put that out there. Not only did it get the attention, but then we had the government of Quebec joined in. And that was awesome because we need that. So right now, the big push that we will be making is to have it established on the federal critical minerals list. We've been working with Minister Wilkinson, and I can say that Yvonne has been a huge champion and a huge advocate for this. And I do feel optimistic about where we are going with that. But again, I had no idea the attention it would generate when you're going to these meetings with international players and they're happy with that move. Again, I think it speaks to, I think we're going in the right direction. I think we're taking the right steps here. Again, I could go on all day, and I think they're going to do it themselves, but I can't say enough this green transition that we talk about, the role that we are going to play in that when we talk about green steel, when we talk about the opportunities here, and not just that, they actually use the iron ore to make iron using hydrogen right here in Labrador. These are the steps we want to take, and I think the potential is immense. I think this is an amazing opportunity that we have here, and I think you're going to see a lot more conversation on that, and I think it's going to be talked about during the day. The other one too, and I got to toss a shout out to Decorah, when we talk about manganese, also something that's getting huge attention, getting a lot of conversation. So again, we're proud to have the partners that we have here, and we're going to work with them because we see this as an opportunity for wins for everybody. And that's sort of where I wanted to go next, is that one of the best things about being in this department, I've spoken about this before, I used to be in justice, and justice, it felt sort of like it was win or lose. There was only one winner, and there's a loss there somewhere for somebody. In this department, there are opportunities for wins for everybody. Everybody has an opportunity to win together. And I say that, and I truly mean it. And the only way that we are going to get anything done is through our partnerships, whether it's with the communities, industry, the different levels of government, our Indigenous leaders, everybody together. And one partner that I had to toss a shout out here is with our educational institutions. I know CNA is here, Memorial. They are going to play a huge role in this as well. I know Liz is here. And again, CNA has been an amazing partner with us. I mean, when we talk about the skill sets, they are right there to develop it. We're talking about moving into wind and hydrogen. Boom, they have course offerings right there to be a part of that. So again, the partnerships here are going to lead to wins for everybody, but it's not a zero-sum game. It's truly everybody can get a win, and a, you know, there's no loss to be had here, but it requires everybody working together, communicating, being direct, and making everybody understand the motivation sometimes and the mindsets. And that's one of the things I think we have to do in government sometimes, is make sure people understand the motivation of why we are doing something. Sometimes it's hard when you toss a decision out and people question the decision. Well, they got to know why you made that. And so we had to do a better job of that as well, explaining why we do things. But again, I do think there's a win to be had there. Moving forward, I swear to God, I'm getting through this. Now, again, I'll quickly talk about wind. Wind's generated a lot of conversation recently, and there's no shortage of a world-class resource here in Labrador. I think it's about over 9 meters a second, which is world-class, generating electricity from wind. We have the large-scale water that we need here, the lack of need for desalinization. Wind is going to play a large role in the development that we have here. And again, like if I told you years ago that we would make money off wind, everyone would have laughed at. The only thing, I keep saying this now, and I truly mean it, like if we could find a way to monetize fog in Newfoundland and Labrador, we will be the Emirates 10 times over if we can only find that way. But again, the strengths that we have, not everybody has them. We have the ports, we have the infrastructure, we have the workforce, we have the community buy-in, we have stable government, stable regulatory regimes, all things that we take for granted sometimes that are not everywhere else. We've worked with Valet in terms of setting up wind over there. We're going to see more wind opportunities here. And I think it's going to play a big role again when we talk about this green transition. Now, I'll quickly segue into economic development. And it's a chance to thank the Chamber of Commerce for all the work that they've done with this event and working with us. I can say that as a department, and we've got a brand new ADM here, Reham. I'm totally going to embarrass her now and make sure she waves her hand here. But we've got amazing people working in the department whose only job and goal and desire really is to work with community, again, to set up those partnerships and to get more wins. We want to work with LabWest. There's a huge opportunity here. And we talk about things like Canes Quest is going to start this week. These are things that we have been supportive of. The only takeaway I would say to the chamber and community and business leaders in this room, come to us, and we'll be announcing some things. I can't step on it yet because it might be in the budget, but we're working on finding ways to make it more certain, to make it easier to navigate the challenges, to find the ways that we can help business set up. Again, another reason, if business wins, we win. Why wouldn't we do more of that? So we're going to try our best to make it easier. I want to thank, let me see. Yeah, so reach out to us there. I was sort of not get away from up here without talking about power for a second, because again, with all these opportunities, there is a challenge. And I would be remiss if I didn't point out that Jordan Brown, and I'm not exaggerating here, may have mentioned power and the need for a new line here about 4,000 times since I met him just a few years ago. But again, we need to do that. And that is a topic of conversation. Now, I was totally going to put a lot of pressure on Jennifer here. I know Jennifer's going to speak after, and I couldn't think of anybody better to lead the charge when it comes to Newfoundland and Labrador Hydro. What I will say is that there's letters going out this week when we talk about facility study. We know we need to find a way forward, but we need to know who is there, what they need, put that all together, because these are big, big decisions. We're talking generational decisions and generational costs that come with this. But I can tell you that we need to find a way to partner on that and move it forward. Hopefully, we're going to see movement on that. We could possibly see construction as early as 2026. And that sounds like it's a little ways away, but it's not actually that far. And I'm looking to make sure that Walter's not sliding under the table now here with anything that I say. I'm going to clue up here now by just saying that, again, I realize that part of this summit and part of the conversation we have every day is challenges. There's no doubt that with development and with opportunity comes challenges. I mean, you cannot, housing is a huge issue. Healthcare is a huge issue. But every jurisdiction is having those conversations, and not every one of them can talk about what we have here. This is just Lab West we're talking about here. When you look at the province as a whole, there's a lot to be excited about. And that's why I truly say this, as challenging as things get, as frustrating sometimes as they get, I go to sleep every night thinking that, you know what, it's going to be better off for my kids down in the future. And that's a pretty good thing to say. I do think that they are going to have a bright future here in Newfoundland and Labrador because of the things we're doing. But it will not happen if we don't come together, strike these partnerships, and find that right way forward. We need our community leaders to come together. We need everybody to be on the same team to make sure we all get a piece of this. And there's a lot, I think there's a lot of pie for everybody to have here. Before I clue up, I just want to say that again, I get to speak here, but I'm a part of a department. Look, I keep saying this every time I go in cabinet. We are the best department in government. Sorry to Paul Pike and CSSD, but this department has an opportunity to get huge wins for this province, but it's because of the women and men that are in departments. So I get to speak for them, but they're the ones doing some amazing work. They're on the ground here today. Hopefully you'll get a chance to talk to some of them. There's a lot to be accomplished here. So on that note, the last thing I'll say is thank you for letting me be here. Thank you. It was a wonderful day yesterday. I really enjoyed last night. The steak was awesome. And this is a great event. So to the organizers, kudos on a job really well done. This is an event that you have to be at. So hopefully it's not the last time we're going to be here talking about this. I certainly would look forward to coming back sooner rather than later. Take care, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you, Minister Parsons. That was fantastic to hear from you. I would like now to ask the next guest speaker, Joel Prepo, the Director of Projects and Innovation from Champion Iron.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, I'm Joel. Been with Champion Iron for the last, well, a little bit more over 6 years now. Mostly involved in capital projects, smaller ones, bigger ones, Bloom Lake Restart, and focus now on longer term growth opportunities from the energy perspective. So making sure we get the energy needed for future growth and for our GHG reduction plan at Bloom Lake. I'm no CEO, contrary to the two next guys. So I figured that instead of bringing quality, we would bring quantity. So hence the presence of Michelle with me.
Good morning, everybody. Michel Gaudeau, Corporate Director of Governmental Affairs for Champion Iron. It's nice to see you all, and thank you for the nice work, John, for my introduction.
Champion has been around for a while, but up until 2016, oh yeah, I need a cue for a next slide. But up until 2016, it has been like a 8-employee junior exploration company. And really from then on, it transitioned to be an operator. I wouldn't say that we are a mature operator now, but we try to be a sustainable operator. And what I mean by this, I'm more in operations. And one example for me is the way we restarted Bloom Lake. We didn't need to invest into refurbishing the iron recovery process. We didn't need to complete the overland conveyor project. We didn't need to swap a fuel boiler for an electric boiler, but we figured that we needed to do that in order to change structurally how Bloom Lake was operating to enable it to be sustainable, to be able to operate it for like 10, 20, 30 years. And that's how we approach projects. And we use the same strategy for phase 2. We also like to have a more hands-on approach. So in Quebec, you need a constructor license to do construction work. And most miners hand off that responsibility to a third party. And my boss actually went out and got that license so that we could build the site ourselves. So yeah, that's how we ended up, next slide, being the operator of what is now Bloom Lake. So we have 2 plants. We are still ramping up, but with high confidence rate that will reach the 15 million ton annual production over there.
Good. So next slide, please. I think those successes, and big milestone we went through in the last couple of years are really based on the relationship we develop with our different partners. It's good to see that Claude is in the room today from the towns of Fermont, which we were able to understand better how to develop a business in this area that is sustainable. We're doing the same kind of meetings right now with Mayor Barron and Mayor Belinda and Adams and their different councils members. So we understand how projects such as Camille that we'll speak later today can be developed in this region. It's always a challenge to come with a greenfield project. And it need to make sense for people to see those projects moving forward. The community need to see those projects making sense for them. So it's something we're passing a lot of time and energy on. If we move to next slides, I think the other key success in the development of the Bloom Lake project is a relationship we develop with our Innu partner. When we take the time to reflect on what we learn from the relationship we develop with the Innu from Westshot Maniotenam and Matimekos Lac John, the project of Bloom Lake will not be the same. What they are helping us to do is to understand how we can minimize our impact on their Nitasinam, and also how we can empower people from their community into our business. And be able to develop them so they become asset to the business as well. It's good to see Grand Chief Poku in the room from Innu Nation, and also some members from the leadership of Nunavut Community Council. And it's good to see you being in this room to listen and I think understand the perspective of how we are seeing development in Lab West moving forward. Having you as partner is important for us so we can make sure that we unlock future opportunities and continue to empower the relationship we develop with our current partner from on the Quebec side of the border. So for us, it's key in the development of our project in the region. Next slide. And yeah, I think it's good to hear Minister Parsons speaking about his different experience with the critical mineral list on the international level, when he's going in rooms and people are from different areas of the world are speaking about the decision that have been made by the Newfoundland Labrador government to add the iron ore, the high purity iron ore on the mineral critical risk. But we're leaving this on a daily basis on our side. People from our team that are more in charge of the client development and so on are really amazed by the support we got from this province. And then after Quebec followed, and we expect being able to have Canada behind us, because when we're presenting what we're seeing as a future of our company, when we're presenting our vision, if we have the support of the provinces and the country behind us, it's making a huge difference. They see that it's not only a goal from one business, but it's a country objective to push forward the high purity iron ore and making that transition for green steel happening, and that transition in the steel making industry happening. So really thankful about the provincial government of Newfoundland Labrador to being the first to make the move on the on adding up the high purity iron ore on the critical mineral list. So Joel, back to you.
Yeah, so we organized our growth projects around that strategy for Champion to lead the way into high purity iron ore concentrate. Next slide. So we divided that in two different streams. On the one side, you have how we do increase the production. Well, you see cluster 2 being 60 kilometers downstream, well, south of here. There's an opportunity to increase further Bloom Lake's production and Kami. On the product optimization side, you have some pelletizing endeavors and the Bloom Lake upgrade. And I want to touch briefly on the Bloom Lake upgrade before we go to Cami. Next slide. Because we also announced that we were proceeding with that almost $500 million project at Bloom Lake. So it's actually an auxiliary building. We're gonna build there right next to phase 2. And we're basically taking the 66% iron ore concentrate and floating it to 69. So in the path of critical minerals, what we want to do is to convert our production to be DR compatible, so compatible to use in electrical arc furnaces. That happens beyond 67.5% iron grade. With that project, we actually want to deliver to the market the purest material ever. So that's the goal here. Next slide. No, you start. Next slide again.
So Cami, it was quite interesting to, when we look at time, the history behind this deposit that have been discovered in the 50s. The previous owner, Alderon, make a good amount of work with this project. I would say when we took it back in 2021, we had to spend a bit of time to, I would say, review the project with our lens, with our experience. And it's really what brought us to issue a press release last month that, announced the issuance of the pre-feasibility study that will coming up next week. And today we'll present the highlight of the project. Yeah.
Next slide. Yeah, not a lot to say today. Well, in a couple of weeks, you'll be able to read it for yourself. But basically, it's a 9 million ton per year concentrator that you can see right there on site. The physical boundaries of this site didn't change, and the concept didn't change. We're still planning to use existing railway and port infrastructures to ship the iron ore. But we updated the way of doing things, I would say, to position the site to be a mine of the future, I would say. So processing is really different. It looks more like what we do at Bloom Lake with classifiers and magnetic separation. There's also more grinding involved, more milling to get that higher purity iron ore. And we are also planning on having IPCC, so in-pit crushing and conveying, both for waste and ore, and no fuel boilers, electrical boilers. So all of that, all in all, the electricity requirement for the project has now more than doubled from what Alderon was planning at the time.
I think what I can add also on the environmental management of the project, there's a lot of additional infrastructure that have been added for water management. It's a pit that could be mined underneath an existing lake, so there will be water to manage in that pit. So I think other operator in the audience have to deal with inflows and pits, so it's thing that can be done. But wasn't planned before. Also, in terms of tailings facility, we really improved the construction technique to make sure it's aligned with recommendation from the Canadian Dam Association with a centerline construction technique for the dam. So there was a few changes as well on the way we're going to operate the site on the environmental perspective. So it's a project that's going to be sustainable, that people would like to see being developing in their neighborhood. And that's a few of the example of the decision that have been made and change, or I would say optimization to the project that we're going to present more in detail next week. So next slide is presenting the numbers. So it's a 4 billion capitals project in Canadian dollars. So it's massive investment that we need to for a project like that to move forward. And the NPV is not maybe at the level we would expect. There's a lot of uncertainty, I would say, on the market regarding the price we can sell the material we want to produce. There's not that many high purity iron ore project we can compare ourselves to set up the price tag on how we gonna at the amount we're gonna sell this project. So that's why we're running different scenarios to be able to communicate this opportunity. Next stage for us is to develop partnership to see a project like that moving forward. And we're having great discussion with many parties interested into that. And that would be a key milestone for the project we'll try to achieve next year as well. So next slide is presenting though where that project sit in terms of capex intensity. When we're comparing ourselves to the other greenfield project in the high priority R&R market, we're not out of whack with our number. We're ballpark in the middle of the other big project that the industry is seeking to develop worldwide. So in terms of capex dollar per ton produced, we know that we're having a good project. The partner with who we're discussing of this project understand that as well. So we're confident that we'll move forward with studies on Kami to continue de-risking this project, bringing it at the level of we would like in terms of studies, so we can release a feasibility study later on. But there's still work to be done on this project. I think that's a key message. But we did a lot, and now we're having something where we're really more comfortable to start having discussion on. And next slide is presenting, I would say, our values. And today's presentation is really aligned on how those values are reflecting in the work we're doing. Pride, we want to be proud of the project we deliver, and Kami we're proud of what we're presenting as a project today. It's based on the ingenuity of our team. We're trying to be in advance, developing that mind of the future is a concept that is really driving us internally as a bunch of engineers. And respect and transparency are quite important. So when we'll come down to make agreements and develop a project and having benefit agreements for the towns, for the communities, for the right holders and different stakeholders, we'll be able to achieve what we're going to put in those agreements. And that's the big thing for us. We want to deliver what we agree on and continue moving forward. And that was the key of our success at Bloom operation that we want to bring with our future projects. So thank you again for being here today, and we'll be quite happy to answer your question.
Oh, we could take one or two questions if anybody has them. Perfect.
Thank you.
As a mining professional, it's nice to hear about projects like this moving forward. So it's very exciting times. I'd now like to ask Joe Broking, the President and CEO of Takora Resources, to come and make a presentation, please. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. How many of you see me present before? Everybody knows I don't like to stand behind one of these podiums, right? I like to walk as I talk. But anyway, thank you so much for the opportunity to talk about Takora this morning. As we were at the dinner last night, I was reflecting on the topic, and we do presentations all the time. I have hundreds of presentations that we could give. But what I really wanted to do today was try and focus on the things that people, I believe, in the audience want to hear. Things that are not easy to talk about as a CEO of a company who's in CCAA currently. But we want to make sure that we focus on this and we provide information that's tangible to everybody here. So the agenda today for me is going to be pretty simple, right? We're going to talk about CCAA and the plan to emerge. We're going to talk about what's going to happen once we emerge from CCAA. And then I'm going to spend some time talking about growth opportunities at Takora, which all of you have heard me talk about before, but I want to reemphasize, okay? And like everybody here, I could talk for hours and hours. Many of you have heard me say this joke before, but my wife says I love to hear myself talk, and I think she's right. So, I thought a lot about how I present, the type of presentation I want to give, and what I realized is that my passion for mining, my passion for communities typically drives me to start to talk about all the things that the company is doing right away. So I'm going to change it up a little bit today. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to thank a bunch of people. Because when we think about the future of Labrador West, it really comes down to people, right? We talk about challenges. We talk about things that we need to change, things, opportunities. Sometimes I hear about we need to go back in time and do things like we used to. But at the end of the day, it's really about people, people in this room, people in this community, and the people of Team Takora that are going to make the impact and allow us all to come together, right? And we talk about embracing change all the time at Takora. So I want you to think about that as I'm presenting. I want to take this opportunity to start this off appropriately and thank a bunch of people. So it was fantastic to hear Premier Fury yesterday. I want to thank him for coming to our community. I want to thank all the ministers who are here today, all of which are presenting. Thank you so much for coming. I want to thank all the other federal and provincial leaders that are in the room here today to take part in the Future of Labrador West Summit. I want to thank the mayors. Thank you so much. We talk to you often about the various things that Takora is facing, and we appreciate your partnership. I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce for organizing this event and bringing everybody together. I want to thank our Indigenous partners. So in the room today, we have representatives and the chief of Innu Nation. We also have members of NCC that are here. Thank you so much for your partnerships and for the feedback that you give to us that will allow us to be a better stakeholder within this community. We very, very much appreciate it. Josh Joy, stand up. Josh Joy is in the house today. He is our local union president. We have an absolutely fantastic relationship with the USW. And I would put our workforce up against any workforce in the world. When it comes to work ethic, our team at Takora, and I've said this, we're young and we're learning, and there's lots of training that's happening and we're working together. But our workforce at Takora will work extremely hard. Sometimes we got to pull the reins back and make sure that we're doing things safely, but I couldn't be more proud of a workforce. So, and last but not least, I want to thank all of our Takora team members, each and every one of them. Today, we have approximately 475 employees at Takora. We embrace things like teamwork and working together and change to do things a better way and make sure that we're introducing a better way to make us more efficient. And our team at Takora absolutely embraces that. So we wouldn't be here if it weren't for our team, and I want to take the opportunity to thank them directly. So thank you from the bottom of our heart. And I almost forgot one group that's critically important, especially in the context of my next subject, which is CCAA. Thank you to our supply chain, to our contractors who have worked with us through a difficult time to help us come out a much stronger company on the other side of this. So thank you. Okay. A difficult subject, candidly, a subject that not a lot of people in my shoes would want to talk about, but I'm not afraid of it at all, right? So on October 10th, as everybody in this room knows, Takora filed for CCAA protection and was granted CCAA protection. What's been happening? I'll tell you, when I talk to my team, and Josh knows this, and of course, Graham and Marilyn and Melissa, we're very open about just the facts, providing just the facts to our team on site, and today just the facts to the community. I'm not going to speculate about things, but what I will tell you is that there's always a lot of noise. We call it noise, and I'm not afraid to talk about this. People offering up their opinions on social media, what's went right, what's went wrong. We're not going to get into any of that. What we are going to talk about is just the facts and the process and what our expectations are internally about how we will come out of this. So, like I said, on October 10th, we filed for CCAA protection. It has been a challenge, but it also creates an opportunity. The second biggest milestone within the CCAA process was to run and successfully complete a sales and solicitation process for the company. We issued a press release shortly after January 19th, when that process was completed, announcing that the board of directors and the company's advisors had selected a successful bidder as part of that process. Absolutely fantastic news, okay? There is going to be a process as part of this. It would be very easy if this was not going to be contested, but in this case, the winning bid is going to be contested by one of our other stakeholders. Now, I can tell you that we love all our stakeholders, each and every one of them. It's not for me to judge a contested bid. What I can say is that the company is going to work very, very hard to efficiently and effectively close this process so that we can move forward. What's been committed at this point is that we have a court date set to have Justice Kimmel hear the process on April 10th, 11th, and 12th. And coming out of that process, we expect within the next week, or approximately the next week, we will get a decision. And we expect that Justice Kimmel will do her part and come to the conclusion that we expect her to come to, so that we can move the business forward. Okay? Ultimately, as it stands today, we would expect to close on the winning bidder's bid in the May timeframe. The sooner the better, but we would expect to close in the May timeframe. Okay? What does that mean? What will we be focused on once we emerge from CCAA? Because I've talked to many of you in this room about how much we love the Scully mine, how great the ore body is, how great the people are, how successful we can be. The one barrier that we've had is we are dealing with a set of assets that have not had a lot of investment in terms of the beneficiation plan itself. That's no secret. So the new group, the successful bidders, which are a consortium investors that we refer to today as the Ad Hoc Group Consortium. It's a group that consists of our existing bondholders, a new private equity fund called Resource Capital Partners, or Resource Capital Fund, and a new offtake partner, Javelin Global Commodities. And they're making a significant commitment to this business, including, we anticipate investing approximately $300 million US to upgrade our beneficiation plant. What are we really talking about? What does this mean? What it means is we're currently studying putting in 6 brand new like-kind mills. We're looking at the horsepower on the motors. We want to make sure that coming out of this, we have the milling capacity with state-of-the-art systems, so that we build in the redundancy and the effective utilization that ensures we will produce every single year on a sustainable basis in excess of 6 million tons of Tacora premium concentrate. We're also looking at upgrading our spirals. All the things that probably should have been done to this operation a long time ago, including, since Tacora has owned it, now we will have the capital we need to be able to do those things. And step 1 is to ensure that we sustainably produce in excess of 6 million tons every single year. Once we do that, That will allow us to be sustainable in any iron ore market. It will put our cost structure where it needs to be so that we can continue to grow beyond that. And everybody knows how much I like to talk about growth. We've been talking about it openly since I took over as the CEO. But step one is to emerge from CCAA. Step two is to sustain in excess of 6 million tons a year of Tacora premium concentrate. And then from there, we will grow. And we will make the requisite investments to do one of really two things as we think about the Scully mine. Number one, and you've heard me talk about this before, but today we can expand our existing mining footprint and increase our reserves within that existing mining footprint. This is not something we think we can do. This is something we know we can do based on work that we've done with third-party consultants. Okay. In addition to that, we control land footprint and an entire mountain of iron ore called Wabush Mountain, which we believe represents another billion-ton resource. Just there, that gives us the opportunity to consider increasing our production to 15 million tons per year on a sustainable basis. And that's something that we believe we will ultimately do when it comes to iron ore, because it's going to make sense to expand an existing facility. It's going to be more economic to expand an existing facility. Now, there are limitations to this. Power is a limitation. And I sat with Jennifer about 1.5 years ago, and we talked about all the things that could be done. And one of the things that we kicked around, and I was glad to hear it come up today, is the implementation of wind turbines potentially on these sites. Tacora sets up extremely well to put wind turbines throughout the mine, connect them to the existing grid, and share that power. Now, this isn't something that we invented here. This is done commonly on the Iron Range in Minnesota where I live. US Steel has an entire set of wind turbines directly in their mine. But we have to embrace change. We have to think about doing things better. How do we get there most efficiently and effectively? There's lots of ways to do that. And as long as we work together, the theme of the future of Labrador West, we will get there. So there's opportunities to grow iron ore. We also are blessed with manganese in our mine, within the geology of that mine. Today, we are stockpiling a byproduct of pretty high purity manganese concentrate. And you've heard me talk about this before. The opportunity for us at Tacora to be the leading supplier of high purity manganese sulfate monohydrate for battery production is immense. On an annual basis, and this isn't something that's theoretical, we've proven this already through a hydrometallurgical process. On an annual basis, we can make approximately 200,000 tons of HPMSM on an annual basis. That's more than the market in North America today. So we have to develop this project in a prudent and disciplined way so that we don't destroy the market. But the potential is there. And when the electrification of vehicles actually starts to take hold and that market is developed, we will be the leading supplier of HPMSM on the planet. And we will be the lowest cost supplier, by the way, because this is a byproduct. We're taking an existing tailing stream and converting that to a product that's saleable. So once that market is established, we are going to be looking to develop this project. And it's extremely exciting for this area. Extremely exciting. So when I think about the future, when all of us in this room think about the future of Lab West, when all of us at the ski hill last night as I was watching people skiing like Walter and others, and having drinks and talking about what could be accomplished. When we all think about the future, it's incredibly bright. And this should be the region of the world that grows because we do things in the right way with our partners. We do things in the right way from an environmental perspective. And that's why I'm so confident and bullish about Tacora, and absolutely why I'm so confident and bullish about Labrador West. Thank you.